Picture this in a studio somewhere far, far away.
You bugger.
Picture this. Picture this.
The Mary Whitehouse Experience! Thank you. So, has John Major got a moustache, or what?
I mean, something's wrong if he hasn't, because clearly God intended him to have a moustache. It's like there's a moustache in there bursting to get out.
But what is it? It seems to be a sort of skin moustache. It's like what you might expect to see if you'd just been staring at a moustache-shaped light bulb and then immediately looked at his face.
John Major has said that he's going to do away with the upper class, but all he seems to have really done away with is the upper lip. In fact, in Madonna's recent lip implant operation, John Major is believed to have been the donor.
Right, well, tonight here in the studio, we've got a fairly good cross-section of the public. So I'd just like to ask you, how many of you would think of yourselves as working class? Fine, right, OK. So how many of you think of yourselves as upper class? No upper class. Right, so how many are middle class? And how many of you think the whole concept of class distinction is a politically motivated tool of bourgeois capitalism to maintain the status quo? How many of you think... Fair amount. How many of you think status quo haven't done anything decent since down,
Most of the audience. Now, the reason we ask is because John Major has said that he wants to see a classless society, so that we thought we'd look at the implications of this for the future.
There's no doubt that Britain is probably the most class-conscious country in the world.
Well, you would think that.
Why?
Because you're rather common.
So where do we find our classless role model? The answer, of course, is in the Prime Minister. John Major's main electoral asset is his classlessness. He has worked his way up from a humble childhood background. In the new Classless Britain, what will happen to the royal family? With only one class, there will be only one combined set of social conventions.
Miss Nadine Grant and Mr. Gary Shagger Jackson.
In a truly classless Britain, social occasions for the upper class, like Ascot, would have to be abolished. Its classless replacement as a summer gathering place would be Gatwick Airport.
Welcome to Departure Lounge, and what a marvellous afternoon.
Yes, indeed, and just look at the hats. Some truly wonderful hats this year. Her Majesty the Queen wearing a very fetching I Heart Benny Dawn beanie hat, which tones in beautifully with her shiny tracksuit bottoms and Reeboks.
Oh, and over there, the Duchess of Marlborough wearing a very stylish Brits on the Piss 1991 t-shirt and a pair of cheap sunglasses from the Sky Shop.
But the big question, of course, is what will Princess Diana be wearing? Whatever she wears, she invariably looks wonderful.
Yes, indeed, Nigel. She could wear a large dog turd on her head and she would still look wonderful.
Oh, and there is Princess Diana wearing a large dog turd on her head. She looks wonderful.
Now I believe we can go over to our first event, the beginners 3/4 of a mile laughing at each other's passport photographs handicap chase.
Mr. Gary Sadler and some bloke he met in the pub who claims to be a friend of Ian's and told him there was a party here.
Now, last Friday midnight, the junction of Kilburn High Road and Willesden Lane, a violent affray involving two men. One was aged around 30 and wearing a brown leather car coat style car coat, and the other man was me. So if you have any information at all about this crime, please keep it under your hat, and you could win a Community Action Trust reward.
One of the most irritating things about the charts in 1990 was that it was almost impossible to have a hit record unless it had been in an advert, like Blue Velvet for Nivea, Take My Breath Away for Peugeot, and the Steve Miller Band for Levi's. Talking of which, how did he get that motorbike past reception? And how come he just rides the motorbike straight out of the lift? Did he turn it round inside, or did he back it in on the ground floor? Anyway, since it seems almost impossible now to have a hit without a song from an advert, we can expect other bands to take note.
OK, let's run down the top 5 for this week's chart. At number 5, it's the Happy Mondays with their version of Their Tasty, Tasty, Very, Very Tasty. Number 4, the Sundays with their beautiful reworking of You Do the Shake and Back and Put the Freshness Back. At 3, no change. It's still Now Hands That Do Dishes Are As Soft As Your Face with Mild Green Fairy Liquid from, of course, Public Enemy with MC Nanette Newman. 2, Adamski and We Are Lucky Cows, We Chew the Cud and Browse. But for the 6th week running, Britain's number 1 is still only the crumbliest, flakiest chocolate tastes like chocolate never tasted before, from, of course, Sinead O'Connor.
And now, a witty monologue from Jonathon Ross.
All right, well, all right. And, all right. And, all right.